What's up? This is Noah DeFreitas with Noah Fitness, and you're on another bodybuilding Q&A. And I'm here as always with my co-host Matt Berzicott with Camp Jansen. And today we're going to cover the topic of the holidays. I know the holidays can be super confusing for anybody who's trying to be in shape, especially bodybuilding. So we're going to do a quick episode on how to best navigate the holidays. Whether you are competing or whether you're in off season or you're just trying to stay in shape, really what's going to be your best answer to this? Because I believe it can be make and break in certain scenarios. And also I believe that there are times where you can celebrate. So let's go ahead and start to put some parameters around that and see really what would be the best for each scenario. So Matt, I'm not sure exactly where to start on this. We could kind of break it down into how we should train versus nutrition, or we should maybe break it down into whether you're in like an off season or doing a show or just kind of trying to stay normal. How do you think we should kind of look at
Uh,
this?
that's that's kind of what I was thinking. Let's just do what we normally do and break it into categories because, like, if you're someone that's in prep, like this year's a weird year, because there's still shows. The USA's are still coming up.
Okay.
The Olympia is still coming up.
Okay.
Normally everything's over by now. So,
Gotcha.
and
So
and actually, I shouldn't say that. There is still some amateur shows normally after Thanksgiving or around this time. So let's break it into, like, if you're in prep, that one's easy. Then you just pretend like it's not a holiday. You just act like it's a normal day.
So let's dive a little into that though, because I'd say like somebody like really deep. Say you're going for the Olympia, of course, like you are
Yeah.
sacrificing everything. But let's talk about the different levels of like maybe you've never done it before. You're on prep. You're probably an amateur at this level. You're on prep, and it's your first time having to deal with going through the holidays, traveling, seeing family, um, maybe even prepping for the first time around family. So would you say somebody who's say an amateur and they're prepping, how do they go about I guess just doing exactly what they're supposed to do around the holidays? Like, are they bringing Tupperware to Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends when the show is. So, like, let's say someone's getting ready for a show in the springtime, like March. Well, and you're just at the very beginning of your prep. Obviously, if I was coaching someone like that, I would tell them to it would just be treated like a cheat meal or a cheat day. But if the show's in December, then yeah, you gotta. I'm sorry, but you gotta bring your Tupperware. You gotta, if you're traveling out of state, you gotta have, wherever you're going, try to have, those family members have things ready for you when you get there, or you got to just get there and go to the store so you have everything. It just depends how far out the show is. The farther away it is, the more lenient you can be.
Gotcha. So have you ever been in a scenario where you had to like seriously buckle down during like family gatherings? And how did that go?
No, not during this time, because, like I
Mhm.
said, every other year there would be no shows for me to do at this time, because even if you did the nationals was always the week before Thanksgiving, which was very nice because you could do the nationals and then you could, go to Thanksgiving. It was perfect timing. But I have had, pretty much all my birthdays, stuff like that. And, I'm notorious for doing the USA championships, which are always the last weekend of July. Well, my birthday's July 21st. So pretty much at least five. I've done the USA's 5 times. So 5 of my birthdays, you just pretend like I just pretended like it wasn't my birthday. Not that you should, as a grown man, really celebrate your birthday anyways. Cause like, unless you're 16 or 21, like, you don't really have birthday parties, but usually the family would still have a gathering or whatever, or have a dinner or something. So what we would always do is just wait. My parents would just wait till I got back from Vegas, and then we'd have a birthday dinner. Um, yeah, if you're deep in a prep and you want to be the best you can be, you got to just, holidays don't matter, birthdays don't matter, none of that stuff matters. It's just another normal day.
Gotcha. So what about and I've heard this before, and of course it depends on your views, but what about just like spending time or like going out? Say like your family is super into going out for dinner or having an outing. Would you still go to that, or have you had clients who do go to that? And how does it typically go? Is there any challenges working with that sort of scenario?
Me personally, I don't go. I don't go to anything because I'm just happier that way. I don't care for social gatherings as much as other people do, outside of the home. Um, I think that there's certain people that can balance that, and if that's important to you to spend time with friends and family and such in that kind of setting, like out to dinner, let's say, well, and you're in prep, you're saying, and you're deep in a prep, then yeah, if you're putting yourself in that situation where it's a dinner or something, you're either eating your meal before you go, and you're either sitting there just enjoying the company, because that's really what it's all about, right? And that's what Thanksgiving is all about, and that's what holidays are all about, to me, more so than the food. It's just being around your family and enjoying the company and putting the phone down and just getting caught up and actually, talking to each other and seeing what's going on with everybody. And, you know, that stuff I do like. I'm just saying, like, if if my family, which they don't, if they were big on like, let's go out to dinner, I might go, but I would eat my food before I go, and I would just sit there and have them order. Like, I'm notorious for like making people close to me like eat foods that I want to eat. Um, in some weird way, I like to like see it and like smell it, and like I'm like, well, like, tell me how it tastes. Like, is it good? Um, so I would do something like that. I don't know, something about bringing Tupperware and your own food to the restaurant. I don't like. I think that's kind of, um, I don't know. I almost feel like a lot of people do it for like show. Like look at me, I bring my own food. Like, I'm like, and maybe they don't, but some people, that's just what I feel like it looks like sometimes. Because like, you could eat your meal like before you go and just sit there. That would be fine, and just get a diet soda or something.
So I'd like to make a point on that, and I think this is I guess I've been in a lot of those scenarios. I don't know. I'm just like you. If I'm going for a show, I'm going all in. But I think there's certain scenarios where, whether it is a family gathering or it is, say, going on a date, it's important to stick with it. The one time, because I typically would say eat my food before, but some people, you might encounter this as well, is somebody might, for example, my girlfriend wants me to eat something with her. There's something like, if you go on a date and you're just kind of the only one staring at them.
Yeah, well, that's different. If it's a one-on-one
Mm,
situation, that's different. Because then if it's a date with your girlfriend, then you can strategically pick a place that you can eat at.
uh-huh. Okay. So what do you actually have? For me, I brought my food those times. So would you say, are there places, if you're deep in prep, that you could possibly
Yeah,
eat
you can
at?
go to a yeah, you can go to a steakhouse, any steakhouse. Just tell them don't use any oils or anything. I've done that a lot. You can go to like Texas Roadhouse or Outback, or if you want to be real fancy, the nice, the not the chains, but any nice steakhouses. I mean, shit, you could go to Applebee's, you could go to Chili's, you can get a chicken breast and a dry baked potato or side of rice. Um, that's different. If you're one on one, I'd say yeah, but if you're with a group of people, it's not a big deal if you're not eating.
Yep. I think that that's super powerful. One of the things I've kind of felt like before, and I know others have felt like, is you feel like you're paralyzed. Like sometimes you feel like your life is shutting down, especially around the holidays. Like, oh shoot, like typically I'd be with family, I'd be enjoying myself. But the point I like to highlight here is that there's ways. There's ways to still
Yeah,
find time with family. There's ways to still even go out to eat, like Matt said. There's steakhouses. You can pretty much find a place that has the food that you were supposed to eat and go ahead and eat it out there. And
I've got it. Hey, I'm going to segue. I've got a question for you that I want to see your opinion on it. That,
okay.
that it's completely the same, along the same topic. When you hear the word balance, so we were talking about Fuad Abiyad's podcast before we started recording, and in his last show, him and Cedric and Ian and Ben, they argued about balance for like 30 minutes and what that meant. When you hear the word balance, what comes to mind to you? What does that mean as a bodybuilder?
So are you like specifically saying
And
like life and bodybuilding balance?
well, that's what I'm asking. Is that what? Yeah.
So
And do you
that
think it's important?
so work life and bodybuilding, would those be the criteria to balance?
Yeah. Is that what you consider balance? Like spending. So Fuad's argument was, and I agree with what he was saying. Balance means you spend an equal amount or close to it. You put about the same amount of effort or amount of time into each category of your life. Would you say that would define balance?
My definition would be a little bit different. I would say balance means because there's ways to balance things like without exactly having equal time. I think like intensity or like effort or importance, those things come into play as well. For example, if I typically work 8 hours a day and I only have 4 hours a day, is there a way I can now make those 4 hours just as productive as 8 hours? I would argue yes, that there's typically a way to start to enhance things. To how much, that's going to differ per person. But when I think of balance, I think of, okay, what are your musts in each category, and are there ways to optimize that? So I wouldn't necessarily say it's time. For example, like we were talking about a few episodes ago, is if I had a relationship, I might not be able to have as much time for that relationship, but I can do things strategically to keep that relationship balanced even with
Yeah.
less time, whether it's going out on the date and putting my own turkey breast on top of a bed of lettuce and sharing some time with my girlfriend, even though, I don't have that much time. I might be, buried with work. So my answer of balance would be trying to get the same effect by kind of like distributing things differently, time, intensity, creativity, to get the same
So you're
effect.
so you're saying that it's more of the amount of effort that you're putting into each category, not time, or I guess the amount of effort, not the amount of time, the intensity that you're putting into that activity.
That's
That's
it's a combination. It's the whole goal is what do I need to get the same outcome. So
okay.
that's how I'd say is
Okay.
basically there's many variables. What tweaks do you have to make to get to the same outcome? So all else equal, say I have 4 hours a day for my work, 4 hours for my relationship, 4 hours for bodybuilding. But if I need 8 hours for bodybuilding now, and I only have whatever the rest for the other two, I would have to figure out what could I do to have those get the same effect as 4 hours if I didn't. So
Yeah.
that's
That
kind of
makes sense.
how I think about it.
Okay, so the next question is, do you think you can be the best at something and be balanced
Oh
at
no,
whatever your no.
no way. That's not to
Yeah,
say that things have to fall apart, but they will take a hit. I'd say your best efforts can mitigate things, but there's no way you can be 100% balanced. Something has to suffer to get there.
agreed. Yeah, agreed. It annoys me when people are like, and it's always chicks, they're like, balance is key. And it's balance is key. Like, is it, is it really though? Like, for who? For you? And they're like, what? And you're like, what does that even mean to you? And like, you know, you can't, I'm not going to tell someone what's important to them. Maybe they don't want to be balanced. Maybe their life seems perfectly balanced to them, and they're fine. All that matters is if you're happy doing what you're doing.
Mhm. I think balance really comes into it's typically the somebody else that's getting affected by it. Because if you're say off balance and like you're saying, or you're happy about it, the only person who's really suffering is probably somebody else. Could be your bank account. That could be another thing.
Yeah,
Could be your
well, it's
health.
different if you have a family and kids that if you have people that rely on you to provide for them, you know, it's probably not the most responsible thing to be completely unbalanced.
Mhm.
But if you're a single person and you're just by yourself, who is anybody to tell you that you have to be balanced?
Mm. I see what you're saying here. Basically,
Like,
have
don't tell me balance is key. I
uh,
have people tell me all the time, like, oh, you need to get out there and see the world and do this and do. I don't want to.
mhm.
I'm good. You know,
I see where you're coming from.
that's not important to me. Like travel is not important to me. Like I don't care about it.
Yeah. So
So
that's where values come
why?
into play.
Well, I just think, yeah, my values are different. It's just, I guess everybody's balance is going to be different based on what you're into.
100%. And that exactly, I guess there's like a perception that balance means equal attention to things. I think balance means getting your outcome, but getting the outcome that you desire, but the attention can be distributed differently. That's kind of
Yeah,
how I would think of it.
yeah. But we both agree you can't be the best at something and be. I'm talking at whatever field you're involved in. If it's bodybuilding, you can't. I don't think it's possible to be the best bodybuilder humanly possible and have balance. But that doesn't mean you can't do things like you're saying. That doesn't mean you can't go places at all. I'm just saying, me personally, I prefer not to.
Mhm.
It doesn't,
Also,
even if I wasn't a bodybuilder, like I'm not going places and doing stuff because I'm a bodybuilder. That doesn't have anything to do with it. I don't really care to go places and do stuff because I just don't, even if I wasn't a bodybuilder.
mhm. And I
So
would say if you could be a great bodybuilder with balance, if you were more unbalanced, I would argue you'd be a better bodybuilder.
yeah, exactly. Like yeah, the examples that Fuad used was, well, Cedric was one example. He was on the show. He's one example, and he agreed. Chris Cormier, there's lots of. I mean, uh, I would say I'm an example of that, even though I'm not that. I don't know. I'm different. We won't even get into me. I have other circumstances, but yeah, you're right. So, anyways, yeah, I just that was uh kind of along the same topic. So I thought I'd ask what you think.
No, that was a great one. That's ultimately a giant decision that everybody has to make when especially when you're going into bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is something that doesn't just, like, for example, you could be pretty dang. People would argue maybe differently, but I'd say bodybuilding's number one where it comes to what's happening outside of the gym. But like you can say, like maybe a basketball player or a golf player, like outside of practicing in the range and hitting the club, like they're not going to have to focus as much attention on like specifically what they're eating. Would you agree with that?
No, the difference between a sport and what we do is they spend more time. Like we only spend an hour and a half, you know, 4 or 5, maybe 6 times a week performing our craft, if that's what you want to call it, where they spend much more time actually practicing their skill. That's where their time is. The rest of our day, yeah, you could say that eating our meals and stuff like that, it's all part of the sport, the lifestyle. So what we do consumes us every minute of the day. What they do is they spend more hours actually physically doing their skill.
Mhm. So I would argue that bodybuilding, I would say on average, it just depends, of course, how much intensity you're putting into it. But if you're putting in full intensity, you'd be consumed a little more than other sports. For example, I'm not saying this is everybody, but I've seen professional athletes. They're drinking, they're partying, they're eating McDonald's. They're not like, oh, it's 3 o'clock, it's meal four. Here, I got to drink this, and
No, yeah,
we're
they don't.
buttoned
Yeah.
down to another level. So when it comes to balance,
Some of them do though. Here's just going back to prove your point. I don't know that he's that meticulous, but like LeBron James, is very he takes care of himself and eats well, doesn't party. That's an example of someone that is the amongst the most genetically elite people ever in the world, but he's still doing things not like a bodybuilder, but he takes care of himself. He's training. He's got a nutritionist. He's doing he's focusing on recovery. So just to prove your point, someone that didn't necessarily even need to do those things chose to do those things. So one, he could be even better, perhaps, and two, for longevity.
yeah.
So
So you'd all else equal, the more unbalanced you are, typically, the better you're going to be at that focus for sure.
yeah. Yeah, let's move on because we can talk about this for 6 hours.
Cool.
I don't
So
even, I don't even,
I got us. So we basically talked about somebody who had a show kind of like within that time frame, so like in December or early January. So what they're going to have to do, they are going to have to basically do exactly what they're supposed to do. If they have to have family events, still attend those if you want to, but no matter what, you're sticking to the program. Now let's talk about the person who's like, say, in my situation, who now you're prepping for a show, but you're not necessarily like 8 or 6 or 4 weeks out. Say you're like 12 weeks out or plus, I would say. How do you handle the holidays?
um, giving a very, I mean, this is kind of a broad answer, and you can maybe follow up with questions to make me be more specific. But
Mhm.
you would make like smart, conscious decisions. You're gonna have some freedom for sure, but you're not gonna just completely gorge yourself all day long Thursday and Friday and at Christmas. So we're going to have some kind of, there doesn't even necessarily need to be a plan. I mean, shit, I can tell you what I want you to do right now. Maybe that's what we should do.
Okay.
So for you, for people that don't know, we started you're on a week-long diet break. So we're trying something a little bit different. We're doing a longer prep as far as the total duration goes. But you're in a pretty good spot body fat wise. I wanted to try something new instead of, just the old typical, just lowering your food as we go along. So what we're doing is kind of hammering you hard, taking your food down pretty low and hammering cardio for 2 weeks at a time. And then I'm giving you kind of a week off. A week off, however, it's still a plan. It's more of, I've just kind of set your calories more closer to maintenance, maybe slightly above. You're eating what, like 360, 370 carbs a day, roughly.
Yep.
Right. Which isn't like a copious amount, but that's certainly not low. So your diet break just happened to fall this week, which is Thanksgiving. So really all I want you to do, everything's normal through Wednesday. Thursday, it's up to you. It depends. Are you going to train on Thursday or no?
I'm going to try to, yes. Just depends if gyms are open.
Like in the morning?
Yep.
Yeah. So I what I plan on doing, the same thing I want you to do, is just get up, eat your normal meal one, go train, eat your normal post-workout meal, and then enjoy your Thanksgiving meal. It might be one meal. Do you just have one? Are you having one? Do you just go to one place, or some people go to two?
Yeah. So I'll be in one place, but there will be like a Thanksgiving meal and then maybe like some sort of dinner or kind of like snacks the rest of the day.
Yeah. So you can have your Thanksgiving meal, and then you can, with dessert and everything, and then a couple, 3 hours later, you can have another Thanksgiving meal. I'm fine with that. So there's 4 meals right there. And then usually by then, the party's kind of over. You'll probably have one meal left, eat your normal meal 6 that you normally have, go to bed and wake up, and it's Friday, and then that's it. I guarantee you that will do 0 damage. You might be up like 1 or 2 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I've never understood. Like, I always come at it from a different angle, me personally. And I think a lot of guys that are in an off-season scenario like me, bigger guys, are kind of in the same boat. I'm not worried about gaining weight. I'm worried about losing weight over the holidays, because when I go places and I get out of my normal, well, luckily this year I'm just I'm living with my parents right now because I'm moving to Florida. So everything's here. I'm already here at my own house. So for me, it's not a big deal, but typically if I'm going places, I usually lose weight over those weeks because I'm not eating as much food as I am on a normal day. Because typically what will happen, you go to Thanksgiving, like let's say you wake up, you eat breakfast, and then you go to someone's house for Thanksgiving. You're there for like 8-10 hours, and you have just that one meal, like Thanksgiving food, and then you're kind of just like munching on that. Calorically, it doesn't add up to what I normally eat in one day. So then I'll usually leave and have to go to like McDonald's or some shit on the way home after Thanksgiving dinner to like try to make up for all the meals I missed, because I'm like sitting there starving. So luckily I'll be at my own house. So what I'm going to do is what I just told you. I'm going to wake up, eat, go to the gym, come back, have my post-workout meal, and then as much as I can possibly eat at my Thanksgiving meal. After that meal, I'll probably just eat whatever my, chicken and rice or whatever, cream of rice and a shake. And then later at night, I'll probably eat Thanksgiving food again. And then I'll have another normal meal before I go to bed.
Awesome. I think that's great, because we summarized pretty much everything on if it's your show, just sticking to exactly what your plan is, especially if you want to be the best that you can be. If you have some time left, it's about just being conscientious and making sure you're not doing anything that's totally going to blow you out of the water, but still being able to enjoy a few meals here and there. And then in an off season, which as somebody who's never been kind of in those situations, it might sound ridiculous, but it's totally true. When you're not in your own environment, even if you're like, all right, food's going to be there, typically it's not even going to be the right food. And
No.
it might just be one meal. The frequency is going to be low and you're going to lose weight. You're probably not going to hit enough protein. Luckily, Thanksgiving
Yeah.
has, like turkey typically, but probably going to be low on that as well. So that's a
So like
huge point.
I would say if you're an off season right now, and like I'm on a roll right now too. So like the old me, let me tell you how the old me would have handled this. The old me would just like sleep until noon whenever I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be, not eat anything, roll into Thanksgiving. The food's usually not ready right when you get there, right? So then you sit there like for 2 more hours waiting. At this point, it's probably like 3 o'clock. I haven't eaten anything. And then the Thanksgiving food comes out and I eat a pretty big meal. And then you sit there and watch football for a while. And then you'll have some pie. And then you'll sit there and watch the rest of the football games. Then you go home late at night. I've had one meal. So now I'm like, which let me say this too, is I don't, and this coincides with the post I made yesterday about not freaking out about one day. I'd say even if you completely bomb it on Thanksgiving Day and eat everything in sight or don't eat at all, whatever, it's still just one day. Wake up Friday and go right back to it. Where it becomes a problem, I don't think you can ruin anything long term. Prepping for a show is different. Being 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out from a show is different. If you're in the off season or you're a normal person just trying to lose weight, one day out of the year, and really it's, if we're talking about holidays, for most people, I feel like that's really only like 3 days out of the month, maybe Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day. And I guess New Year's. So we're talking maybe a span of 5 total days, maybe. Like, let's say you completely I'm not saying do this, but the way my mind works, I'm like, worst case scenario is this. Worst case scenario, you eat like it's your last meal on earth for 5 days out of the year. Is that really gonna like mess things up in the grand scheme of things? I don't think so. But where it becomes a problem is those 5 days, one day turns into a week. As long as you just have kind of free days on those days, I think what happens is people get to Thanksgiving and they're like, fuck it, it's the holidays. And then it's Black Friday and then they just keep eating. And then they're like, and then it's the weekend. And they're like, okay, I'm going to get back on track on Monday. And then Monday comes and they don't get back on track. And then they're like, well, Christmas is coming up anyways, fuck it. And they keep eating. And then Christmas comes and they're like, well, I'm just going to wait till New Year's. Well, by that time, that's a month. And that's a problem. But I don't think 5 days out of the holiday time period is, even if you completely blow it, is going to really affect things.
I think that's a spectacular point. And you explained exactly what the downfall is. I think a lot of people, they're like, all right, it is 5 days, but the insidious part of it all is that it's typically not 5 days for us. For example, a lot of us, we already have you might have 2 families. We might go to a cousin's Thanksgiving. You might have a step parent who has a Thanksgiving. You might have your own couple's Thanksgiving. Then you have Black Friday. Then you have whatever the heck that Wednesday get drunk day before Thanksgiving. And then you might have a Thanksgiving holiday party that your friend is throwing. Then you're going to have the Christmas parties that your friends are throwing. Then you might have the few families that you go to for Christmas for those parties. So this is where I think it gets super dicey when you start to not recognize that those happen. is it's typically not just like one celebration. Also, you might have multiple meals during that day. If it's Christmas, you might have 2 meals there. Then you go to your cousin's house for Christmas, then you have a few meals there. And I think as long as you don't go down that spiral, and this is where I say just choose your days. Like in your head, if you do have like that, you're not, of course, not a few weeks out from a show, you have in your head exactly which days where you're going to hold strong and exactly days where you're going to keep it going. For example, if it's your company holiday outing and you just binged with your family for the actual holiday, I wouldn't go for that one. Or maybe you have the room for it, but no, that it might not just be one day where the celebration is.
Yeah, that's perfect. Pick and choose. See, I'm probably the wrong person to ask because I don't like have things like that. I don't like, I understand like normal people do stuff like that. And if that's the case, I think it just takes a little bit of planning. It just takes a little bit of planning and a little bit of willpower, because we all have, if you're someone that has that many events to go to, you can kind of look at them and be like, maybe your work party is at a place that you don't really care for anyways, the food. So obviously, just because you're going out doesn't mean you have to eat like an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
You can, wherever you're going, like let's say it's a place you don't really like, well then there you go. There's a place you're going to hold strong that day. I like that. That's a day where you're like, I'm sticking to my plan. I'm going to go to this place. I'm going to pick out whatever my best option is on the menu, and I'm going to eat that, and I'm going to enjoy the company. I'm not going to drink. I think drinking is a whole nother thing that me as someone, I mean, you don't drink either. Like that's not a problem for us, but for people that do drink, that's probably a lot of the problem too, is they're drinking a lot more during this time than they would be otherwise. But I like that. Pick and choose. We all have, when I was little, I used to hate going over to my grandma's for Thanksgiving because her cooking sucked. So like I think everybody has, if you're going over to someone, don't go in on that food then that day. That's a day where you kind of you're not going to go backwards.
Yeah.
you
So the tough thing, and I remember like most people, especially when you're just getting into bodybuilding, if you have these scenarios where it's really just like 2 months of just straight events and celebrations and different friends parties, because typically the reason why bodybuilders are so good is they're not the most social people. There are the unicorns that are super social, but if you're just getting into the sport, this is where you're going to have to learn that skill set of picking and choosing which days that are going to actually benefit you. And Matt, I'm sure you do this all the time. You do it with me, at least, is, working with a coach, having somebody to say, hey, I have like X amount of, I go to my grandma's on Tuesday, then I go to my step family on Wednesday, on Thursday, I get my own, like, what the heck do I do? I'm going to be gone. These are things that I found are super helpful to talk to a coach. I'm always talking to Matt. Just an example, like my girlfriend, she's prepping for a show. She'll have celebrations, cheat meals on the weekends. And I'll ask Matt, like, is this something that I can do? Or is this something I need to hold strong to? And if you're serious about your goals and you have a good coach, they're going to let you know whether you stay strong or you go for it. If you kind of have a shitty coach, they're going to be like, whatever, do it.
Yeah. Or if you have a coach, like, you're lucky I'm not just a dick. Like because
Yep.
some of them are dicks that are just like they're like, oh, I've got power over this person. Like, fuck, no, you can't eat. Like, I know people like that.
Yeah, that's
but
so true.
You ask me and I'm like, plus I also know that you're like, I trust you to make at least somewhat. I know you're not going to go eat at 17 buffets,
Mm-hmm.
So when you ask me, I think about it. I'm like, you can eat something.
Yep. And I also know you'll hold it down. Like, for example, there's some coaches that are pushovers. There's some coaches that are dicks, like you're saying, where you could totally have had, something, enjoyed some time, because sure, like we're coming back to the term, the whole thing with balance is you just got to know really like when and where it needs to happen. Um,
Yeah. You got to know
so
when and where to, yeah, you got to know when and where, when it's a time to turn it, to flip the switch
yep,
for
100%.
sure.
So
Well,
that's where.
let me finish what I was saying. I get sidetracked. I was talking about if you are an off season guy, so like me, like I'm pumped. My weight's finally going up again. I was stuck at like 270 for the longest time. And now my weight's going up. I'm up to like 277. I'm like, okay, now I got, so it's just, I think it's interesting. My perspective versus everybody else's is I'm thinking, okay, how can I keep gaining weight through the holidays and not lose weight? Well,
It's ridiculous.
everybody else is thinking opposite. So I'm like, okay, yes, it's at my house. It's just another normal day. The only difference is I get to have like, I get to replace two of my normal meals with two delicious meals. And so I'm saying if you're have to travel to grandma's house or whoever's house and you're a serious off-season bodybuilder, then you got to take some of your own food with you if you're going to be there for a long time, because you could be there all day, and what if you run out of turkey, and then you're sitting there starving for hours, you know?
This is how upside down the bodybuilding world truly is. And that's the
Yeah.
beauty of this sport is when you get to certain scenarios in bodybuilding, you're literally trying to not lose weight over the holidays. That is the most
Yeah,
upside down thought of all time. And that's what makes it so awesome is
I know.
that truly is the case. If you're trying to put on muscle, if you're trying to really push the limits, if you've ever been there, you know that just little slip ups, you can be down. How many pounds do you lose if you slip up, would you say?
In a day?
Yeah.
Oh, a couple usually.
Yeah.
Like if I miss one meal, it's a couple pounds,
Yep.
which doesn't make any sense. How does that make any sense on
I don't know.
paper? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
On scientifically, that makes zero sense. But anybody that has ever had like a good amount of muscle with a decent metabolism knows what I'm saying. You miss one meal, it's like you lose 5 pounds. What the fuck? How does
Uh-huh.
that how does that happen?
I assume I don't know what it is. Maybe just like intracellular water that you just for some reason just
Yeah,
releases.
I know, but it is, but it's still, I still don't get it.
Yeah.
Mathematically, I can't make sense of it. But
So
hey, at the end of the day, man, it's just, it all comes down to just use some common sense and some self-control for the majority of people that are worried about gaining weight. That is, for the people that are trying to gain weight, go nuts. Um, go nuts, but still eat your normal food as well. I think that's where people trying to gain weight go wrong. You can't eat all junk food. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. You got to still eat your normal food plus eat all the other stuff. If you're someone that's worried about gaining weight, I think doing what you said, looking at all of the events you have and picking and choosing, okay, I'm going to go all in on this day I'm not. That's really all it takes, man. And
mhm.
then from there, it's just discipline.
Yep. That's exactly what I was going to say is I think the just working with people, the hardest thing, and this was the hardest for me too. And when I talk to my students, this is exactly what they say too, is it's not easy to say no to friends, but sometimes it's even more difficult to show up to your family as like, say you are prepping for a show as like a different person. I mean, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I definitely know that sometimes family is it's because they love you. They sometimes are the least supportive of some of these goals. So you could say, hey, I'm on a diet, and they're gonna be like, oh, screw that, it's the holidays, and this could be your friends as well. So the hardest thing for me personally and some of my students is learning to say no to family, learning to say no to friends, learning to be the oddball out. And I always say, like, when your goals are super important to you, it makes it easy to be an oddball. But when your goals aren't, when you really haven't wrapped your mind around your goals and what you want to
Yeah.
achieve, it's really hard to be an oddball. So I'd say the biggest thing you're missing, if you can't say no, this is really what I'm going for, is it's just, like, working on your confidence level, but mainly being more dedicated to your goals and knowing how worthy your goals are.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky in that sense that people don't push, my family, it's, are you eat, can you eat or can you not eat? I can eat. Okay. You know, can you eat or I can't eat. Okay. And that's it. But I could see how that would be really hard for somebody, especially that's new. This all kind of goes into I just put that on my story, how I said, I think the most important thing for any coach is to just know what matters and what doesn't. So for me, this topic is like very like not very intriguing to me, just because I guess the experience I have, and I know like it's not really that big of a deal. But I can see if you were new and you didn't have that experience, how you could maybe look at this and think, oh God, what do I do, and become paralyzed? Like, is this going to ruin everything? Like, is this
Hmm.
going to ruin my, like you might be like 30 weeks out and you're like, oh my God, is this one meal going to affect that? Like people don't know that.
Yeah.
I have to remember that.
Yeah, and to your point on, you were early into the sport and clearly looked the part, very quickly compared to some people.
Yeah, I have to remember that too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so for just giving my perspective is, I literally was an abomination for a decade in my family because I was the weirdo who never ate the food that my family was eating. I was always, going to the gym when it was the most misopportune times, and I did not look at all like a bodybuilder. It took me, I was doing all the wrong things for a long time as well, but I was this was still my mission. So I do remember the times where you first say, no, I can't eat this. And especially if you don't look the part just yet, or it's your first show, anybody who knows you is going to be like, what the hell's wrong with you? That's not you.
Yeah.
And that's, in my opinion, for me, that was the hardest thing. And it was just tough to say, no, this is a new me. This is something that I'm doing now. So I just got to do it. Some people say support me. I say don't ask for any support. You just do it because it's your goal. But
I think
that's a tough piece.
I think it comes down to just doing what you want to do on those days. If you know you're going to beat yourself up for eating a bunch of shit food and that's going to really bother you, then don't eat the shit food. Take your food. Who cares? Like I said, focus on the most important part is who you're spending the time with.
Mm-hmm.
Not the food, not what you're doing, not the activity, not eating. It's just being around your family. So focus on that, and whatever you feel is going to make you the happiest or most satisfied inside, if that means not going off your plan at all, if that's going to really make you happy, do it. Who is anybody to tell you not to do that? If you feel um like me personally, it doesn't bother me at all. I'd rather just take the day. um you know Now, what I'm saying I'm doing now is not what I would have used to do. I do kind of, now I can relate to people that are worried about going backwards, because I'm now worrying about not going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm taking extra steps to make sure that happens, because at this point in my life, where I'm at in my bodybuilding career, it's it is more important to me, and it's going to be more satisfactory to me to not go backwards during this time in my life, when in regards to my bodybuilding. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, it was like, it didn't bother me if I had one meal on Thanksgiving. I'd be like, yeah, it's one day, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
you know it just comes down to whatever is going to, if it's going to haunt you at night, don't do that. Do whatever is going to help you sleep at night.
Yep. I think that's the best question you can ask yourself. And I was that guy who, even on an off season, I was eating chicken breast, like 5 meals a day, like no shakes. And it was insane. And I remember you even saw me at the Chicago Pro, and we got pizza after, and I was still like, nah. And
Yeah.
I was in an off season, and you're like, are
Yeah.
you
I could have,
serious?
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, what is wrong with this guy?
But I just had this thing of, and it worked. I don't regret it. Like, the one thing I want to give to the audience as well is, we think that it's some magical, mystical experience of like eating food. Everybody's had pizza, everybody's had Thanksgiving dinner, everybody's had cake. So you're not missing anything magical. I'm not like, oh, I wish I did eat that pizza that day instead of the chicken breast.
Right. Exactly.
It's so doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But what mattered was, I wanted to just do that and say there was no stone unturned, and
Yeah.
that I did it all. There was nothing I could look back on. So if I got last place, it doesn't matter anymore, because I did literally everything. And if you need that, I think it's totally cool. But it's just up to you. Each show, I kind of put a different thing that I want to test in. And I think that's just important, is that you set whatever your standard is and you stick to that standard, because the standard is going to be the only thing that you look back on and say, shit, I didn't stick to that standard. And that's the one question that can bring up, well, what really changed the placing? And it's going to be any deviation from that standard that's going to actually cause like a revaluation of what you did.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that in the grand scheme of things, does this 1 month of time period, does it really matter? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But do whatever is going to be satisfactory to you.
And I think that's
Whatever that. So maybe think about it, decide what that is, and then just do that, and don't think about it again. I think
yeah.
people just get, like, in regards to my post, it's like they're like, oh God, and then you just like beat yourself up and talk negatively to yourself for a week straight, and then a month straight. Oh, I'm a piece of shit. If you're gonna do that, if the holidays are gonna throw you into that kind of mindset, then it's probably best to just stay on your plan as close as you can. If you're someone that it doesn't really get to you, and if you're kind of like whatever, I wouldn't worry about it. Do whatever is going to make you stay in a good mental state.
I totally agree with that. And also, for those that are new, this is again where a coach is so perfect, because the best part about working with Matt is I can ask him every single time, like, what is it? Like, is this going to make or break me? Are we good? And he's going to give me his honest opinion on, what is the downstream effect of this. If he says, hey, you're going to be just fine, you can feel that much more secure that whatever it is, that you're going to be fine. And also, you can catch yourself for saying, hey, we can't do that, we got to rock and roll here. And that's just as powerful to know, okay, I can just stay strong. I don't need to second guess anything and say, oh, should I eat this, that? You just stay 100% the course. So
Yeah.
I think that's killer, man. And I think we summed it up super good there. So how do you feel about that as kind of our summary here?
I think that's pretty good. I think we touched on all. I don't really know what more there is to say about it than that.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think they have anything else.
Cool. Yeah, I think the key point is understanding where you are on the spectrum, understanding really, but I guess making a blueprint of what that game plan is, and just stick to it, and make sure that you're not the person that regrets any of those decisions. You stay strong to your game plan, and even in an off-season setting, if you do want to, I guess optimize your results, make sure that you are doing what's necessary to even keep progressing and not losing even during these holidays, which is the most backwards thing ever, which is great.
Backwards, but it's a real problem. I'm telling you.
100%. Well, sweet.
It's a
We'll
real
go
thing.
ahead. Seriously. Yeah. That's why I love bodybuilding. Only bodybuilders have that problem. But we'll go ahead and end it there. Matt, any final comments before we take off here?
No, just everybody enjoy, in a messed up year where it's sad that a lot of people aren't even getting together at all because of COVID and whatever your beliefs on that, it doesn't really matter. It's just sad that, for the first time in our lives that's even a thing.
Mhm.
People are staying home and not seeing any of their family at all. I know my grandpa is thinking about not coming over. I mean, it's just like me, my parents, and my brother and his wife and their baby. But my grandpa is going to be 90 in a few days, and he might not even come over. It just sucks that that's the reality of the situation, I guess. But like I said, just make the best of it and focus on the people that you are with, and enjoy your time, and hopefully next holiday season, this shit's over.
Awesome words. I would say something similar is I always say in really challenging or different times, you never know what really awesome things that are going to happen. Number one, it's going to be memorable. So if you do find something that's kind of a memorable moment, it's going to be something that you are going to remember for the rest of your life. So definitely hold on to those things. There's always good and negatives, and I always think that the goods is more powerful in the negative times. So even if it's now that we can't see loved ones, maybe it's time for a new special holiday where you have a new event where you guys meet up. Maybe it's in the spring or something like that. So you never know what comes out of this stuff. But I hope this helped everybody here feel a little bit better about the holidays so they can crush their goals. And if you guys have any questions, Matt, how can they reach out to you with questions?
Instagram, Matt Berzicott.
Cool. And go ahead and reach out to me, Noah DeFreitas, on Instagram, or go ahead and comment below. But if you need any more help on the holidays, reach out, and absolutely reach out with any questions to get you further on your bodybuilding goals. And with that, have a spectacular holidays, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, Matt.
Bye.